Happy Friday, friends. Immortal Rooker with Daryl Oates, live, green onions. Friday kind of martini tune, shall we say. Welcome, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you're well, had a great week. Welcome to the weekend, everybody. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome to my home. I'm Philip Jones, the Martini Whisperer, and for the next 30 minutes, maybe 45, maybe a bit longer, depending on how long the gin lasts, I'll be talking about a few things today. And for all you just tuning in, thanks. Good to see you. If you're new to one of these, and thank you for my new followers who just tuned in. I don't usually talk about these sort of things, but it's wonderful. Every one of you kind of matters to me in a very real way. There's no bots in my followers on Instagram. You're real life people. Go figure. So I love every one of you. And so your support and good vibes you send to me mean a great deal. So here's to you, kids. Thank you for your support. Today, so if you just haven't gone for one of these before, I do this a couple of times a month on a Friday. Sometimes live at other special occasions and things like that. Like we might do a bar tour. So in years past, I've done things in Singapore and Adelaide and Melbourne and Canberra, of course, some places, doing bar hops and diving into various places. I might just send it now. Thanks, guys. And obviously times are a bit different at the moment, so you just have to settle with me in my own home, my own bar. And apologise in advance for any noises off, because we've got a puppy like everyone else does, but he's actually sleeping for a change over there, so we might get some work done around here. All right, so today I want to talk about a few different things, gin related, basically. I've got whiskies and bourbons, and if you've got a question about anything spirit related, cocktail related, martini related, I'd love to hear them. So type away below and I'll do my best to field them as we go along. So don't be shy, please. So this has got about 30 minutes or so get a nice drink, get comfy. If you can't stick around the whole time, that's fine, because I will record it and put it up over here on the Instagram and on my YouTube channel as well. So I understand you've got things to do. I totally get that. So welcome everybody who's just tuning in. Happy Friday to you. In case you're wondering, it's a lovely, beautiful vintage glass, about 1963. And Gin & Barrett, and to you, thanks for your support. It is typically my go-to comfort zone on a Friday. It's Plymouth gin, quite wet with Dolon, dry vermouth, and some good old-fashioned Regan's orange bitters, which you can't go wrong. I'll come back to that a little bit later as we go. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and each one's different. So they've got a set of 8, and they're precious to me. So this is a steel grey one, blue steel, get it? And it's pink and yellow, and they're stunning, so really good. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. So get things out of the way. Articles coming up on the website. So there is going to be a look at the awards around the world. I don't know a single distiller who doesn't mind getting a bronze, gold or silver. Doesn't matter where it comes from. But you talk to them privately, there are some awards have more, shall we say, cred than others. And that goes to things like how much it costs to enter, the caliber of the judges, the amount of feedback they get, all this good stuff. Now, speaking personally, I've gone through a few, I've been invited at several Spirit Awards, so New Zealand Craft Spirit Awards. I would have been there this year, because of you know what. Perth Royal Show and a few others. Plus, I do a lot of judging for the Hotel Association, Bar Awards, and I'm a National Tourism Award judge, etc., etc. So I know my way around judging stuff. But the caliber from a distilling point of view, it really makes a big deal for them, because sometimes they have to pay, get a little product out, and there's a bunch of these things going around, and some are basically designed for profit, and some are actually not. So I'm going to have a bit of a look at that, but I can't get all these distillers on the record, perfectly frank. If you're a distiller who have got a comment or view on awards and the process of awards and the impulse or the caliber or the quality, please reach in touch. I'm going to do a survey, and for folks can do anonymous, because basically no one wants to bite the hand that feeds them, which is fair enough. I get that. So you're not going to say no to an award if you get it, but clearly some awards are equal than others. So there's that. We'll take a look at, quite frankly, a controversial subject, I think, peak gin. We talked about peak oil once upon a time, when oil's going to get there and decline. I think it's soon, but anyway. Have we got enough, in Australian context, too much gin? I think globally we have something like 6,500 brands of gin, at least. I do a ballpark reckoning. And on my site, as you probably know, I keep a directory of all those, and I've got there's almost 400 distillers I'm about to tick over 400. I'm going to add a couple, maybe a dozen on Monday or Tuesday next week, which is a lot. And they keep coming. And I talked to the guys who make the barrels. There's another article about Coopers. I did the article several months ago about the guys who make the stills. There's like a 2-year wait list. If you're just tuning in, welcome. I'm talking gin, awards, what's coming up, and my top 10 gins for Martini. So stick around if you can. Cheers to you. Welcome to Friday and your weekend. Hope you're safe and well. Cheers. Future awards. Award programs. Are we in peak gin? Have we got too much gin? Quietly, I think we do. But, we'll see how we go. I want to talk about Coopers, the guys who make the barrels that age the product. Amazing renaissance happening with that industry as well. Happily. Cool. Where are you hiding? Right here. Every so often I do whiskey. Shock horror, right? Don't faint. Yes, so this is an amazing place to visit if you get down to the Murray River and at Akura. The guys down there have an amazing old factory they bought for $1 off the council, but they had to renovate it. So it's an extraordinary cooking place. You look it up. And they make some killer whiskey and chocolate. So that's coming up. So have a look at that. And what else is coming up? And another new gin, new release. Excuse me, Richie, behind you. Where are you going? Over here. This is down in central Victoria near Dalesford, neck of the woods. It's called Terra Australis. Very singular approach to gin. So I've got their range. I interview the distillers, Q&A. So I'm about to come back. So I spend a bit of time looking at their range, and it's very interesting indeed. So lots of stuff coming to pipeline. So every week, look out for another article as we trickle along. So there's that. All right. So my top 10 gins. If you just joined it, welcome. Martini Whisperer. Phoebe for Sweet. Hope you're enjoying your sweet. And Port Douglas. Ever so much jealous. And I do hope you get into... Maybe refocus a good London Dry. Phoebe for Sweet. I do hope you get to Nautilus because it's amazing. Maybe if you can't get booking, I know they're booked up quite a few months in advance, but I'm sure you can work your magic. If you can't, just ask nicely to have it all sticky beat. It's on the main drag, halfway down. Do it. Everyone, welcome to Friday. So I've been talking about some of the articles. If you've missed a bit, don't worry, you can't say the whole thing. That's fine. This is recorded. I'll put up my YouTube channel and stuff a bit later. But thank you for your company. Nice to have you along. Okay, so talked about articles coming up. If you've got questions about Martini. Scotch whiskey or rye whiskey? It's a Scotch whiskey. Absolutely, yes. There's only a few rye whiskies, for example, Belgrove out of Tasmania, Penissi Sandy. Great name to know. Where is he hiding? Don't go away. There you are. Hiding. Go to the secret stash. So this is a name to know. It's back to front, I realise. Belgrove. Peter Bignall is the distiller, about a couple of hours north of Hobart on the main highway there. A legend in the industry and around the world. Considered by some the most sustainable distiller of... Thank you for that. Congrats, good to know. Yes, backward, that's true. Not many around. He's a rye farmer. So this is a 5th generation farmer. And the short story is that he didn't want to waste anything. Amazing backstory. I've been there a couple of times. It's a whole deal. It's Aladdin's cave of homemade, sustainable distillery goodness with the great stuff. So he makes an unaged and aged stuff. Very interesting. Very, very toasty. I think the question was, I'm just going to scroll down here for a minute. Focus on good London Dry gin. Well, what's happening at the moment in Australian gin? We're talking about peak gin in general context, and I think we're getting pretty close to too many gins makers. It's their deal. If they want to go for it, by all means. But you've got to imagine a ballpark figure of all the gin sold in Australia, all the craft spirits, only a couple of percent. It's growing slowly, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5% of all the spirits sold in Australia is craft spirits. Of that, you've got your whiskies and your vodkas and your gins and so on. Out of those category, you've got your usual suspects of your big names taking up a huge amount of market share. Then you've got everybody else, that kind of micro percent. And that's a real challenge. And they're up for it, I'm sure, and they're passionate and clever and talented people. But I just see every week new entrants to the market. So what will happen, and some will just be, and if they're happy just doing that small thing, that's great. If they're going to be the next big thing, that's a big challenge. So that's a whole different dry gin. Probably are, because there's big flavours, there's barrel age is a thing at the moment, pink gin's a thing, blah, 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 blah. Big botanicals. And so we're getting close to jumping the shark in some cases, quite honestly. Cosmo, it's all right, buddy. Come on. Cosmo, on your mat. Good boy. Puppies, what are you going to do? Where was I? So, lost my train of thought completely. Anyway, yes. So, London Dry, I think there's still a pro tip. There's a gap for super premium type products in the market of the London Dry variety, getting back to the basics, shall we say. Because there's a global market, as I said, there's about over 6,000 kind of brands sticking around. So, I think that could be the way they're going to go. New comments down here, and they're Gems personality filled. So Cosmo says hi back, as you can tell. Thanks for that. You're sound asleep. We're doing so well. Oh well. Sorry, kids. Puppies. What are you going to do? So that leads me naturally to my top 10 London Dry style gin, because clearly you can't put any gin in a drink with vermouth and quarter martini. I know you do. I've done it. Desperation. Here's to desperate times, friends. Cheers. But quite frankly, you need a certain type of gin to go in a martini. So let's go back to basics, shall we? So in no particular order, are you ready? You're going to take notes? You want to hear it? You want to hear my top 10? Top 10 martinis. I don't do this very often, kids. Special treat. You ready? Ready, set, go. Okay, in no particular order. London number 3. It's a green bottle. They've just changed their branding. We can't get it here in Australia for obvious reasons. Okay, here we go. So London number 3, it's got the key. It's from Berry Brothers. Now the fun fact, thank you guys. Thanks, appreciate the delay and the love. Throwing that right here. You got to imagine super punch. So this is the kicker. It comes across as a London gin, a London Dry gin. It's presented as an English gin. It's actually made in the Netherlands. Go figure, right? Through a place called Berry Brothers. So dark green bottle here in Australia. It's probably a lighter green bottle now with a key. Super pucker kind of background pedigree. Really piney, nice and citrus. You can't have too much of it, but chilled. Really chilled with a lemon twist. It's a killer aperitif. Really great. So one's enough, otherwise it's just too much, right? So that's more done. And then we've got the classics, probably one of the first after Martin Miller's. So yeah, let's get Martin Miller's out of the way. So Martin Miller's was one of the first super premiums. So big my thing about opportunities for Australian gins, the super premium category is yet to be broken over. If you're just joining in, welcome to my home, Philip Jones Martini Whisperer. We're talking my top 10 martini gins. Talked about articles coming up. If you've got questions about gins or martinis or whatever you want to do, chime in down below and I'd love to help you out. Hope you're comfortable and got a nice drink. So yeah, so London number 3. Then we've got the Martin Miller's, as it was one of the first super premium releases way back when. And but you want the Westbourne. So the Martin Miller's comes in a tall bottle. Advertising guy is passed on, Mr. Miller. Icelandic water. It's really fragrant, got lavender, all sorts of amazing things that really, really refined, right? This is the thing, this is what I'm getting at here. But the Westbourne is a bit like their Navy strength version of you want that. So Westbourne, okay? Aussie one, new one called Little Juniper out of South Australia. Stuart, chappie makes it. He very kindly sent me a bottle over just on spec, not for review. He doesn't like me talking about it because that's not how I operate, as you know. But it knocked me out. The juniper, really rich and flinty and depth to it and great. So when I look for... No, hold that forward. Come back to that. So that's Little Juniper out of South Australia. Very schmick little... It's only doing one thing at the moment. It's brand spanking new, but look out for that. It's really, really nice. Very classic, straight up and down London Dry, juniper forward. It's great. My go-to, Plymouth, the Daggy bottle, which I decant in the cool blue deco bottle just to annoy them. What are you saying yes to, Ginger Barrett? Which one are you saying yes to? Yeah, Plymouth is great because, again, it's subtle. I'm privileged to spend a lot of time with these sort of things day in, day out. So sometimes I want something that is just really subtle, very gentle, easy to drink. Yeah, Martin Miller's. Yeah, Martin Miller's is stunning. I love the regular as well, like the tall bottle, the first one. But I find, again, call me tragic, Aussie gins, yes, thank you, are in that one's enough kind of thing. But the Westbourne has a bit more punch in the martini sort of. Yeah, so yeah, I reckon you dig this one, yeah? The little London. So yes, so Plymouth, always in my high rotation, my place. Westbourne we talked about. America, Aviation. I think I touched it a few times before. That classic bottle, one of the original kind of craft gins that come out of America, like Brooklyn and people like that. It's got a huge reputation now, but if you like sarsaparilla, if you like licorice, anise, it's really well made. I mean, American gins are not subtle, let's be frank. Definitely one is enough. We know that line. I've had a bit of a big week, so this is a bit of a punishment for me, frankly, but I've got to keep you guys company, right? 45 Fin, mate. Here's to you. Thanks for tuning in. Just in time for my top 10 gins. Cheers. So we've got London number 3, Jensen's West. Jensen's, of course. So Jensen's Bombers Dairy. So I don't have the bottle. I'm doing a spring clean. You wouldn't believe it. I need to make room. Tragic, I know. So I'm working my way through. So Jensen's Bombers Dairy is one of those iconic, really modern expressions of craft gins come out of London. Sorry about. I'm going to say 10 years old now, but it wasn't that long ago. I mean, they had a wave. They kind of responded to the New World wave of things from America, New Zealand, us, and then, I reckon the UK kind of woke up and went, heck, we better do something about this. If you're just tuning in, welcome to my place, Phil Jones Martini Whisperer, talking about top 10 gins, articles coming up. If you've got questions about craft spirits or martinis or gin in particular, love to have your company. And thank you for tuning in. So where were we? Yeah, so Westboro. So Jensen's, it's super flinty, like really, really austere. Like even like the bottle is like a frosted bottle with lower cap, capital font, etc., etc. Must have. Really good, really good. It's not cheap here, but it's the business, right? So aviation we touched on. It's got big flavours, like I said. Again, it's a lemon peel. If you see the movie A Simple Favour on Netflix, it features quite highly on that. Not surprisingly, because the actress is the wife of the guy who owns the gin company, but that's okay. But they brought pretty solid martinis action all the way through that movie. So A Simple Favour, watch it after this, trust me. Up north, Hairno gin. Of course, probably needs some introduction. Considered by some one of the world's best gins. The Navy Strength is what you want, though. Or the Brackeneye, also out of Sweden. There's reviews on my website from my colleague Jens out of Denmark and Sweden about those, because he knows them quite well. He's actually putting a book out about Swedish gin in the very near future. It's not in English, unfortunately, but he's doing amazing work up there. So every so often he contributes to my website. So he knows those guys really, really well, goes to these places. And again, it's hand foraged, small batch. But get this. Hairno is now big enough now, not what I just said. They've got a bloody hotel in the works, a mid-century modern hotel downtown, Copenhagen or something. It's crazy. Good for them. Back to Australia, Melbourne Gin Company. So Melbourne Gin Company, again, we're talking about top 10 martini gins. It's small batch, Yarra Valley, Andrew Marks. Yep, that's it. It's on their feed. You look up, Hairno Gin. They're doing a hotel. Why not? Why not, right? Okay, if you're just joining in, talking about the top 10 martini gins for the moment, and if you've missed a bit, don't worry, we'll... No, I want the original shot. So Gin and Bearer was asking, do I want the single shot or which is a newer release from Melbourne Gin Company, or the original? The MCG one, straight out, the original. It came out at the same time as the Four Pillars, right? And everyone knows about Four Pillars, so that's why I never talk about them. They can take care of themselves. Really, really, really earthy, rich, non-chilled filtered, which is important. So when you put it in a martini, it doesn't come nice and clear. It actually gets quite cloudy because, as you know, if you don't do that filtration process when it's chilled, Andrew wanted to keep all the botanicals and the oils in the mix, so a really rich mouthfeel. So in a martini, it's a bit disturbing because you see it cloudy. That's only because the oils are being released from the botanicals, but that's intentional design. So yes, so nice, really rich, earthy, like orris and spices like that. Where were we? And then back to Australian, Never, triple juniper, obviously. Again, we're talking about peak gin in Australia just a bit earlier, about all sorts of weird, wonderful flavours are popping up, which is fine, absolutely fine. Not having a go in any shape or form, and people are enjoying them. Like people, the market, if you like, are enjoying gin for approachable. Vermouth, yes, I can do that for you, mate. 45, I definitely do. So Never, yes. And finally, Old Young, but the original one, 1829. So Old Young is Swan Valley, Western Australia. Sometimes they talk to us, sometimes they don't. Western Australia doesn't make kidding kids. James, is an amazing distiller. I had the privilege of judging their first ever Perth Royal Show Spirit Awards with him as the only interstate judge. They almost call me international judge. That's Western Australia for you kids. Obviously joke, sorry. They're absolutely gorgeous and lovely. So James is a terrific fellow, and he makes great gins. So the original one, it's not too hard to find, but if you like your juniper forward, really crisp, really dry, and he gets his juniper from Tuscany. So I think I touched on last time. Nah. Juniper free, it's a gimmick. No, it's not a gimmick, but you just want triple juniper, you just gotta, trust me, triple juniper does the business. Juniper free gets us going. Because, which brings us nicely, thanks to 45 Finn's question about vermouth, right? So, they're my top 10. London number 3, Jensen's, Little Juniper, Plymouth, Westbourne, Mount Millers, Aviation, Hand on Navy Strength, MCG, Never Never, and Old Young's A29. Okay, I'm going to park that one because I haven't actually tried Ambleside as yet. Sorry to say. Like I said, so much gin, so little time. There's only so much way to go around. But 45 Finn asked about my top vermouths, right? So I'm just going to get my website up here for a minute. And there is actually a list of Australian vermouth. So I maintain, if you're not familiar, I take all the list of all the distillers in Australia and vermouth makers and New Zealand and Japan. And I update it every month. So for a beginning, if I'm looking at gin makers, for example, so next week homework, I have to do a bit of an update, and we are up to scroll, 371 on the list of gin makers in Australia at the moment. I've got another dozen, I think, to add on Monday, Tuesday, and they keep coming. So to your question, 45 Finn, vermouth makers, this was updated in late July, so January I should say. There is something like about 25. So it's very interesting. So that's a burgeoning thing. And so in a Martini context, so I'm going to reach down here. Obviously the old favourites, Dolan and Nolly Prat, French. I love Italian. There should be a party for the 400. They should pay. If they're 400, they should pay. Good, dead set. I mean, I don't think... hold that for 45 Finn. I don't think people actually... The distillers... I mean, very few monitoring this kind of scale, I don't think. And good luck for them for going for it. And they've got modest ambitions. But I just worry about people investing and thinking they're going to be the next big thing and then falling over financially. Simple as that. And as I said, it's a very, very, very small market. So I do my bit to raise awareness, as you know, and blah, blah, blah. But we're up against it. Anyway, so the Italian vermouths in general experience. So French dry vermouth, dry is there for a reason. It's not sweet, and it's so you got the Dolan and the Nolly Prat, good for different reasons. So in all the list I gave above, it was very much a case of what goes with what. So if I was going to pick, say, for example, London Lumber Free at the very top of the list, big flavours. Big pine, big juniper, big citrus, gorgeous stuff. So you want something to cut for it. So I'd go for Nolly Prat, for example. If you just tuned in, I'm talking about the Tom 10 Martini gins. Martini Whisperer, Philip Jones, welcome to my home. Do you like my neon, by the way? It's back to front, I know. So I try that every so often. And it flashes. The neighbours love it. No, not really. It's a birthday present from my darling wife. So yes, vermouth. So what combination goes with what? So one size doesn't fit all. So you need about 3 or 4, in my experience, to work with all the top 10 gins kind of thing. Thank you for the likes. Cheers, everybody. Here's to your health. That's better. There is, of course, Great Australian vermouth. Like I said, there's about 20 makers now. And listeners probably know the Maid and I, of course. I did a really fun recipe for the Canberra Centre just recently using their Nocturne, which is truffles and rye berries, and also it's really, really exotic, really rich and spicy. Made a spritzer out of it. And there's a thing on my side if you want to check it out. Anyway, so this is delicious and beautiful product. But the pro tip is that whatever you think the measurement is for your usual vermouth, halve it if you made nine, because it's so full flavoured and so intense. And I know this from experience where, it was the go-to vermouth for many bars here in Canberra, for example. And rightly so, but it's so potent, it actually takes over the gin. So if you're Tanqueray, for example, this would dominate. So if you're not careful, so you've got to halve, that's the thing. There's a wonderful vermouth out of Italy. So don't usually choose. I'm just looking up something on my Instagram very quickly. I'm going to pronounce the name really bad. Chazelle. Yes, here we go. Okay, so it's a vermouth from around Turin, basically. Torino. Chazelle, Chazalettes. So, Chazelle on Instagram, 1876. There's one silver for their dry vermouth in the World Spirit Awards, which is not bad. Just found it by chance. Beautiful bottle, nice price, stunning. And it really kind of sat between an Italian vermouth, and a French dry vermouth. So it was crisp and dry, but it had a beautiful mouthfeel, really gorgeous. And it was a recipe back from 1860, 1870. And the grandson, I should point out, of the original maker wasn't going to make it. He couldn't do it and didn't want anyone else to steal it, so to speak. But the guys who make Cocky Americano, so Cocky, Lillet, these all should be on the list as well. Cocky Americano and Lillet, not really vermouth style, but they persuaded him, because they were from the region, to make it. So there's that free in the range, but the dry is stunning. Really, really good. Beautiful stuff. So yes. Brew and tonic. Well, cheers to you from the UK. Good morning to you. Hope you're safe and well. Thanks for tuning in. I have one for you then, if that's the case. It's 9 a.m. where you are. Welcome to Cocktail Hour in Australia, as it were. Cheers. We've been talking about my top 10 Martini gins. I'm taking questions in any shape or form about craft spirits in Australia or Martinis in general. I will talk about articles coming up. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is what I look for in a good gin. So, I'm going to have a sip for this one. So as I mentioned before, if you just tuned in, I had the privilege of a couple of occasions of judging spirit awards like New Zealand or Perth and other places. And the usual process is you team of 3 or 4. You have a flight of about 5 spirits, about 30 mils each. You don't know what they are, of course, and they're brought to you as a flight, and you taste them every 20 minutes. So you think it's a fun job, right, drinking gin all day. The only time I ever drink beer is in the this, because honestly, it's hard damn work. And you've got to obviously really respect the product. And if they've done it well, they'll have a diversity of judges. In the mix. So you might have someone from industry, you might have an educator or advocate like myself, you might have, in my case, I had a scientist. She was amazing from Massey University in New Zealand, who did the science of taste. Really cool. So you have different viewpoints because everyone has different preferences, and sometimes you recognise the gin, and then you go, oh, I hate, Glimmerbird, or I hate anise, So you taste these gins. We're talking about, if you just tuned in, have a Born Breed Catering, here's to you, and so the Queen. Welcome home. Welcome to Canberra. Welcome to Cocktail Hour. I hope you got something agreeable on a glass. Just talking about what I look for in a really great gin, and I'm talking about now in the context of when I judged them in a Spirit Awards, for example. So you get your gins presented, they're completely naked, so to speak, and the scoring is out of 100. So 20 for nose, 20 for clarity, 20 for taste, 20 for taste plus a bit of water, and then it's like a kind of complexity finish kind of vibe. The terminology can change, but that's essentially it. And clearly, if you've got colour, you're holding up to a glass, and the gin's going to be a gin, right? Unless you're talking about Asia. So it's important to know when you're judging over a day. It could be 2 or 3 days of this stuff, right? It's hard work. And you're going through 5, 6 gins every 20 minutes. And you've got almonds and crackers on the table and so on and so forth. And the stewards just bring it out. It's all done in silence. So you'll do London dry gins. You might do contemporary gins. Then you might do barrel-aged gins. Then you do flavoured gins. And there's a secret level of Dante's hell, quite honestly, for flavoured gins. I can't tell you how much I look forward to the pink gins end of the day. Some of those are like putting your bag in a packet of licorice snakes or red frogs, if you know what I'm talking about. Horrible. Anyway, so you progress down the food chain, shall we say. So you start with your London dry gins and so forth, barrel gins, so it goes. So you compare it like with like. And what's interesting is that, so the nose will tell you something. And so when I'm talking about a really good gin, so I talked before about my top 10 Martini gins. If you've just joined in, greetings. I'll just read them off very quickly. London number 3, this is for a Martini, just to be clear. London number 3, Jensen's, Little Juniper of South Australia, Plymouth Gin, the Westbourne Martin Millers, the Aviation of the United States, Herno Navy Strength, Melbourne Gin Company original release, Never Never Triple Juniper, and of course Old Young's 1829. So pretty straight up and down London dry style, but different. But some of more flavours push different directions, and so it goes. And that depends on again your vermouth and the garnish choices, and so it goes. So we're back to judging, right? Here's to you. First you work this. I'm here for another 10 minutes or so. And if you missed the whole bit, don't worry. I'll record it and put it up on my YouTube channel and also here on Instagram. So on the nose, it's your first impression. A lot of people kind of, when they get a gin, they may or may not smell it, but they go straight to the mixers, right? Or whatever. Guarantee, when I do my tastings, I get people to smell it, because what you don't want is what I'll call spirit volatility. You don't want, spirit burn. If it's a good gin, it should be aromatic, and you want the botanicals and the spirit to be perfectly integrated and aligned. And you want the nose, what you get, first impression, to line up what you get on the palate. Not always the case, right? So nose is really the first impression. Like you can hold up a glass and gin is gin, unless it's coloured and you're looking at that. Excuse me. So regular London dry gin, so the nose is the first impression. And a lot of distillers kind of, that's where they can fall down, and one can dominate the other. So for me, I don't want a botanical to dominate one another. I actually want them all to be integrated into a cohesive, sensible whole. So if you go back to Herno, for example, try that, you'll see what I mean. Okay? So then you taste it, you're looking at mouthfeel, you're looking at volatility, is it acetone, is the spirit too hot, are there impurities, what's standing out to you, so you're doing that. Then you add a bit of water. So normally we would add a bit of gin and a little splash of water, little pipettes, 5 mils. This is key, and this is why, frankly, you mix a Martini in ice. It's not just chilling it, but it's also the water opens up the flavour profile. And by that I mean the flavours and botanicals and the spirit itself, softens them out and rounds them out. So we added a few mils of water, then we taste it again. Again, this is all in silence. And you're taking notes the whole time, right? So if they're good, they'll give you a iPad and you're scoring as you go. Like the guys in Perth did this, for example, Perth Royal Show. So you got that, and then you're looking at, so then that'll open up the flavours some more and see where you're going with that. And finally, you're just looking at the overall picture. So we're talking about, judging the spirits, just kind of neat, a touch of water, and so it goes. And that will give you like 20, a score out of 100 thereabouts. Then what happens is you go then convene while they're resetting your flights amongst team, and you go, well, what do you, and so I'm a lead judge, which I usually am, I will have the scores of my team members. Okay, so I gave it 65, you give it 85, what's the deal? I didn't like it because I hate anise, for example, or I know, whatever. So it's very kind of, and then we just talk it through. We don't know clearly what it is, and often we arrive at a very harmonious, because you kind of want to write, what you want is all the judges be comfortable with the scores that are finally locked in for that one. And when they go, oh look, I didn't like it because I hate anise, right? So I probably marked it bad. So I'll go back and revisit my score, and you kind of raise it up. So it's a very good moderation process. And then that's kind of locked in, that's how it goes. And so, as I said, when you get to when I look for good gin, I'm looking for this integration. I'm looking for nice, soft mouthfeel. I don't want any one botanical to dominate. I'm looking for a really clean spirit. I'm looking for complexity. And what I in my reviews, I talk about what I mean by closely woven. So that means all those things come together in a harmonious whole. And so every time you taste it, again, neat, not in a cocktail necessarily, but just neat, or a touch of water or an ice, you're getting really, really lots of layers of complex. So for example, hold that fork, don't go away. Just reach over here. Here we go. This will freak you out, kids. this is not a Martini gin, like I just talked about before. This is like a gin that I bought just for a bit of fun. I went, oh my God, this is so good. It's Aberforth's out of England, bathtub gin. I know, right? We do smell-o-vision. Subtle. Layers, lime, fragrant. In a glass, it's slightly hued. I just drink it on ice, a big chunk of, like a big solid rock of ice. On ice, makes my world a better place, guaranteed. Perfect example of how it's absolutely gorgeous. It's subtle. It's really subtle, nice mouthfeel, no hidden of spirit, beautifully integrated, masterpiece. And I don't say that lightly, actually. So that's there for like break glass and emergency kind of thing, because that's how good it is. A good gin, in bottom line, I'll draw the line under this now, is that it should be able to be drunk neat, comfortably, or on ice, stand on its own. And that's why the Scandinavian gins are ones to look at, and the Japanese gins, like our friend out of Kyoto, Kunobi, it's expensive, but it's the best. It's like Montrachet. If you know wine, Montrachet, the Montrachet of gins, quite frankly, my friends, what's coming out of Japan is... No, I'll clarify that. Kinobi is probably the best Japanese gin there is, and probably one of the best gins in the world, period. But there's a UK spirit maker behind it, Joe. His name's Joe. I was going to do a tour of it, but anyway, it's a fun fact, but that's not happening anytime soon. It's all lined up. Anyway, so yeah, Kyoto is extraordinarily good, but it's sake base. So you've got to be very careful. We could talk about Japanese gins another time. It's a whole different deal. So yes, you get the idea. So there you are. So I've covered new articles coming up. Look out for articles about, going to wrap up. We're going to do like awards coming up. Good, bad, or indifferent. Have we got peak gin yet in Australia? Is rum the next big thing? I reckon it is. Maybe. Talking about coral whiskey. And we're looking at the Coopers, the guys who make the barrels, and these other industries that sit behind the distilling industry, and the gin makers, etc., etc. So there you are. So, my friends, let's leave that. Oh, and finally, just for local kids, a whole bunch of events coming up, but to release local tasting events here in Canberra of Australian spirits, one every month in a suburb near you. And I do house calls. So if you're interested in me doing a house call with a bunch of friends, yes, thank you, Jim. Yes, I did see that. That's very interesting, actually. The rum is such an interesting... So before I close, why I mentioned rum, and I've been trying to champion rum, and it's been an uphill battle, to be perfectly honest. There's a whole generation of Australian rum makers doing amazing stuff. And it's such an interesting category, because you've got silver rum, you've got blended rum, you've got spiced rum, it's got baggage here culturally in Australia, if you weren't aware, for lots of different reasons, slavery basically, and just bad product. So there's a bit to get past, but I think there's real potential here, and it's a natural thing for us. So that could be a subject for next time. Also, spirits, I'm sorry, kids, we're about to sign off, but thank you for so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Stay well, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in a few weeks' time for next Cocktail Live. We're going to do something out of New Zealand, just by the way. So there's Doing Craft Spirit Awards, as I said, I normally get to judge those, the international judge. They're about to finish up soon, so we're going to get someone across from them. To talk about the awards and the scene in New Zealand gins, which is really, really exciting, quite frankly. So again, another time, stay well, friends, and stay tuned to my little countdowns on the Instagram stories, etc., etc. And if you missed all this, don't worry, I'll save it and put it up here. So get yourself comfortable, make yourself a nice drink, alcoholic or not, in your case, all the spirits. Love your work, guys. You're amazing. And stay well, and I'll see you next time. Good night. Thanks again. Bye.